What's up, everybody? I want to give you guys a quick review of the latest Star Wars entry, The Force Awakens. Give you my thoughts, basically a breakdown of what took place and what I liked and disliked and where the franchise goes from here. I think it's pretty obvious how it's going to play out, and I'll get into that. Basically, the story plot is you've got two stories in the beginning. You've got Rey, a female that's an orphan living on a planet called Jakku, which is very similar to Tatooine. And then you have a guy that takes the name Finn, who is a First Order trooper that emotions override his obedience, and he doesn't like killing innocent people and creatures, so he decides to defect, and then their stories come together, and then it goes through. Basically, Rey is the offspring of Luke Skywalker, and Finn is just a guy trying to do good. They link up, and the whole premise of the story is they need to find Luke Skywalker. General Leia is looking for Luke Skywalker. Nobody knows where Luke Skywalker is. What happened is there's this new bad guy, Ren. Notice Rey and Ren. Ren is the offspring of Han Solo and General Leia, and immediately after Return of the Jedi, at some point, not immediately, but at some point, Luke had set up like a Jedi Academy and was training Jedi. And for some reason, his star pupil, his nephew, Ren, lost his way. You could blame that on obvious lack of presence of Han Solo and General Leia, who are obviously not in the picture at the time. And this obviously had an impact on Ren, and for one reason or the other, Luke Skywalker couldn't handle Ren and just lost patience with him. And then Ren turned to the dark side, and Luke blamed himself for it instead of looking at the reasons for the distrust of Ren, because his parents weren't there, and his confusion. And basically Ren took up the cause of Darth Vader. That he became kind of his I don't know, he wanted to finish what Darth Vader meant to do, and he kind of became obsessed with Darth Vader. But anyhow, so we got this girl on this planet. She's basically living by herself as an orphan and scavenges for parts on, like, we see her in a downed AT-AT, and she takes these parts just to get food. And she crosses paths with this guy named Finn, who shows up on her planet, who helps this hotshot pilot escape, who is obviously a confidant of General Leia, because he had the missing, Leia didn't realize it, but he had the missing piece of the map that they needed to find Luke. And so he gets captured, but before he gets captured, he puts the plans in this unit. It's like a miniature version of R2-D2, except for it rolls BB-8, which definitely was a breath of fresh air. He was a really, really funny character, really cool, brought a lot to the franchise. And he tells BB-8 to run, to get as far away as possible, and he'll come find him. Well, he gets captured. Well, at the same time that he's taken to the Starfighter planet, which is very similar to Death Star, it's meant to blow up other planets in the galaxy. Finn takes upon himself. He knows that this guy's important and helps him escape. And they steal a TIE fighter, and they crash at Jakku, even though they weren't. Finn didn't want to go back there, but the pilot did. So they crash land. We don't know what happened to the pilot. We can't find him. and Finn links up with Rey, and that's when the story starts to take off. We're reintroduced to Chewbacca and Han Solo about a third of the way through the movie. They are in their own new cargo starship, which kind of confuses me, because if the story takes place 20 or 30 years after Return of the Jedi and Han Solo isn't locked up like some had suggested, and him and Chewbacca are out there doing their training and whatnot, and again, they're in debt big time to other bounty hunters and dealers and whatnot. Why couldn't they have found the Millennium Falcon on Jakku? Obviously, they'd been to Jakku a few times, because Jakku was a hot spot for trade. So that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Even though Han Solo could recount the 4 or 5 people that had the Millennium Falcon since he lost it. When he stepped foot back on the Millennium Falcon, it seemed like he was, totally, excited and shocked to find it. But so I didn't really understand that gap in the story. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But basically, it was really, really fun movie to watch from that point on. And then later we get General Leia, and we see R2-D2 and C-3PO and stuff, and it was really cool. But the only beef I have, the only criticism I have with this new movie, and then I'll go into how I think it'll play out in the next episode. One, they followed J.J. Abrams followed the Star Wars Episode 4 too closely. I guess the mentality is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But he really retold Star Wars is what he did. And I'll give you a few examples. Like, you've got the girl who in Star Wars was Luke on a desert planet. Tatooine is now a planet called Jakku. They've both been left, orphaned by or left by their parents. In the case of Luke, Darth Vader, and in the case of Rey, Luke Skywalker. Trying to find their way, don't realize the significance of their future in the galaxy. And then you have the bad pupil, Darth Vader, obviously under the Emperor, and then you've got Ren, who's a pupil under this new baddie. I can't recall his name, Scooch or something. And another thing too, people criticize, well, I didn't like the CGI about that big bad guy. He's too big, that giant. Well, he's not a giant. It was just a video feed. Of course, he was really big, but that doesn't mean he was that big. The guy could be like 2 feet tall. You know what I mean? We have no idea, but the image of him was huge when they conversed with him. Excuse me. So we just don't know. I don't know where this guy came from. A little bit confusing, not really sure. But people were saying he's a giant. He's not a giant, it was a blown up image. But anyway, so Ren lost his way, turned to the dark side because of frustration, parents being gone, Han Solo and Leia, and questioned what Luke was trying to teach him, so he ran, and now he wants to destroy Luke because Luke's the only last Jedi that is known to exist. But we know that Rey is got the Force with her and is actually stronger than Ren, which is neat. Even though Ren has really, really perfected his powers and everything, he can read minds. His sense is unbelievable, but he has anger management issues, and we see examples of that throughout the film. I really enjoyed this movie. I just didn't like that they followed the Star Wars formula from Episode 4. Instead of a Death Star, you got a star killer planet, which is an encompassed sun. But the purpose of it, just like the Death Star, is to blow up other planets. So, and then you have Han Solo confronting his son Ren on this bridge, very similar to The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke and Darth Vader converse, and Vader tells him he's his father. It's kind of the same thing. And I really believe that Ren was turning back to the good side, and that Han Solo was having an impact on him. But as soon as everything started to, lights went out and stuff started to crumble around him, Ren subconsciously thought, oh my gosh, you guys are trying to destroy everything that I built and what I'm about. And he resisted right then and there as he was handing his lightsaber over to Han Solo, and he decided not to give it to him, and then he struck Han Solo down and killed him. So yeah, there is still good in Ren, but he's doing his best to suppress it, As far as where the story goes from here, at the end of the movie, and then another comparison to Star Wars is, the whole idea of Star Wars was to find Ben Kenobi and then to take on the Empire. Well, it's the same thing in this movie. The whole point of the movie is they want to find Luke, but they don't find him to the very end of the movie. So there's another similarity. I see that she found Luke at the end, so I think Luke's going to train his daughter, come out of retirement and being a hermit, and then Chewbacca's got a new partner in the cockpit, Rey, and I think that's awesome. I really like that, how they kept the importance of Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon by, even on losing Han Solo, they'll be able to insert Rey there. So anyway, I see in the next one, the Knights of Ren, which was briefly glimpsed in this movie. One of the characters appeared to be Boba Fett. So I believe Boba Fett's alive and well and escaped that pit in Return of the Jedi, and I see Boba Fett playing a huge role in the next episode, and I'm excited about that. Overall, though, the movie was great. My other complaint that I wanted to talk about, other than the repetitious stealing from Star Wars Episode 4, was the significance of the black character Finn. After Act 1, I really didn't understand what he brought to the table. I know he was important for helping that pilot escape, and I guess, defecting, that was pretty amazing in itself. But really, what did he bring to the table after Act 1 throughout the rest of the movie? He didn't bring a whole lot. And I'm not complaining so much about his character, but that the focus was on him and Rey. Those were your two key, who you traveled in this movie with, you followed. And I was like, wow, I was shocked, to be honest. I thought it should have been more on Rey, and it was equally up until the end on both characters. So those are really my only two complaints. If I had to rate this movie out of 10 stars, would have stars, I would say about a 9. I really enjoyed it. Some people say that it blows episode 1 through 3 out of the water. I don't agree with that. I really enjoyed Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and I thought that they stood well on their own, and I think this one stands on its own well equally, and was a great fresh breath of air into the franchise. And for all our fears that J.J. Abrams messing this up somehow, we can put those fears to rest, because it was a very enjoyable film. I like the addition of BB-8. I'm like that R2-D2 came alive at the end, and once R2-D2 unit realized that the missing piece of the map was found for Luke, and there's a chance he could find Luke, because he's been shut down, self shut down for a long time, ever since Luke escaped, because he's loyal to Luke. Let me see, what else did I hit on? I think I hit on pretty much everything. I really enjoyed the new characters in the galaxy. I thought they were well done. The creatures, everything I thought was well done. I thought it was amazing. So mostly I would say this movie is must see, and there's not, my complaints are very minor. pretty much very pleased with what I saw, and I think you guys will all be too if you haven't seen it yet. And I hope that you can give me your input and feedback in the comments below and tell me what you think, and we can discuss. But I'm really happy Star Wars is back and in the conscious of the next generation of fans, because it's an amazing story, and probably my favorite franchise in movie history. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.